I'd like at this time to call the Beauregard Parish School Board meeting for Thursday, July 14th, 2022 to order. First item of business is to request Ms. Pam March, let me see if I get this right, Instructional Supervisor of Title I and Intermediate. Ms. March, you lead us in a word of prayer and pledge allegiance.
Good evening. Let us pray. Dear Lord God, we come to you right now just saying thank you. Thank you, Lord, for your hand of protection over our lives, over our students, oh God. We just thank you for keeping our families safe. And Lord, as we come before you today, we ask you, Lord, to just look on every heart. Bless every member, Lord God, those that are leading and making decisions for this district. We ask that you give them the wisdom and knowledge to do what's in the best interest for our students. And Lord God, as we come upon this new school year, we ask you to continue to cover us, protect us, oh God, from day to day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. March. Next item of business is to adopt the agenda for the meeting. All of you have a proposed agenda in front of you. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Manuel. Any additions, corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, Chair will call for a vote. All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed indicate so by saying no. Agenda is officially adopted. Next item. Item number 1 of the agenda. Consider adopting the minutes of the May 23rd, 2022 special meeting of the Beauregard Parish School Board as published in the official journal. This was the parish district maps, if I'm not mistaken. All of you get a copy of your minutes. Have opportunity to look at them. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes as published in the official journal.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Manuel. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, Chair will call for a vote. All in favor of adoption of the minutes of the May 23rd, 2022 special meeting of the Beauregard Parish School Board as published in the official journal indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed indicate so by saying no. Minutes of the May 23rd special meeting are adopted. Item 2, consider adopting the minutes of the June 9th, 2022 regular meeting of the Beauregard Parish School Board as published in the official journal. Again, did all of you get a copy of those minutes? Have opportunity to look at them? I'll entertain a motion to adopt those minutes as published in the official journal.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Green. There's a second. I'm sorry. Second by Ms. Bruner. Any discussion on the minutes of the June 9th regular session? Hearing none, Chair will call for a vote. All in favor of adoption of the June 9th, 2022 regular meeting of the Beauregard Parish School Board as published in the official journal indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed indicate so by saying no. Minutes of the regular meeting of June 9th, 2022 are adopted. Item 3, consider adopting the minutes of the June 13th, 2022 special meeting of the Beauregard Parish School Board as published in the official journal. This is the meeting we had to select an assistant superintendent. All of you get a copy of those minutes. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of the special meeting for June 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Manuel,
Second.
second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, Chair will call for a vote. All in favor of adoption of the minutes of June 13th, 2022, of the special meeting of the Beauregard Parish School Board as published in the official journal, indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, indicate so by saying no.
I abstain.
Ms. Jackson abstained. The minutes of the special meeting for June 13th, 2022 are adopted. Item number 4, to hear the superintendent's report. Mr. Cooley, I'll turn it over to you.
Right, it's good to have our student rep with us tonight. Callie, you have a few words to share with us.
Good evening once again. I'm really disappointed I had to miss last meeting because of cheer camp, so I'm very happy to be back in here tonight. My report is extremely short tonight because there isn't much going on with our students besides summer fun. Beauregard FBLA sent a few students to Chicago, Illinois for nationals. All over the area, student athletes are preparing for their next season with workouts, practices, and summer tournaments. And oh my goodness, I can't believe that summer's almost over. It's so sad to think I only have 5 more meetings to attend with you all. I enjoy every minute of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Callie. We have Colonel Samuel Smith with us tonight, Garrison Commander. He's here because he has a special person with him, Specialist Garrett. Since we made the school tours, he's still on board as his driver, so that's a good sign.
That's right. And he got me here early today.
And Tiffany's here also, so we appreciate them all being here.
Yeah, so when Specialist Gary takes care of me, I get where I need to be. So it's been a while and several TDYs and travel, and then I took some selfish time and took some leave and went back home. So it's been a little while, but I know you're in good hands with Tiffany and the team. So just a couple things. Appreciate Superintendent for the time. We just had a new senior commander come on board, so we changed command at Fort Polk. So Brigadier General Gardner, David, he took over for General Doral. General Doral left, and he's going off to Tampa. So last week, I can't believe it's almost been a week. No, this week, Monday.
Yeah,
It was Monday. Yeah, a couple days ago we changed out. So he's new boss, and he's the new commanding general for Fort Polk. So we've had a lot of transitions here recently. Last month during Freedom Fest, we had a great opportunity to highlight some of our STEM activities. We brought Region 5 STEM Center and the kids up here, and they demonstrated robots that they built, and they Robot Wars, I think we call it, Robot Wars. They did that for all of our community. We had about 8,000 folks in the crowd, and so all of the parents and our kids got to see the opportunities for STEM that we're going to introduce on Fort Polk and get it hopefully here in the schools in Beauregard as well as Vernon. And then we had drones, and so where they got to fly the drones through all these obstacles, part of our science, technology, engineering, arts, and math curriculum that we're trying to do. So that was a great opportunity to showcase to our families. And this Region 5 STEM Center down south received a Secretary of Defense grant to do innovation. So they used some of this, and now we got to showcase some of this to our families. So it was a great event. We are preparing for back to school. As you heard, 5 more meetings? Mm-hmm. That's it? Okay, so we're doing some back to school. And hopefully we'll be able to increase one of the pilots we have in the Department of Defense that we called Virtual High School Pilot. We did it last year. We had started with 3, and I think when we ended the year, we kept on to 1. But this is the opportunity where any military student can take a class that may not be offered at that school if it's offered throughout any of the DoD schools virtually. And it's free. They get reimbursed for that. So if it's AP English or AP Spanish that's not offered, they get to do this from home. And so we're still piloting it. We're going to do one more year to see if we want to continue it. But that's a great initiative as well. That's the quick highlights that we have. Any questions that I can answer for any of the members? No? Okay. Thanks, Superintendent.
Thank you, thank you. Before we meet again, about 540 faculty and about 343 Support staff and about 57 to 5,800 students will be returning to school. 4-day, teachers August the 1st, and students August the 3rd. 5-day, teachers will begin on August the 4th, students on August the 10th. So those are right around the corner on us. So a lot of preparation going on at this time as we get ready to start a new school year. If y'all have any way that we can keep air conditioners, coolers, and chillers going, we would appreciate it. We would appreciate it. We have emptied a couple of coolers and a freezer in the past 2 weeks, so just a strain on them. We've been able to get most of those back up. We're waiting some parts that we have been told will be here, but I kind of get nervous, especially when I walked through the upper elementary yesterday and they said they had ribbon windows that had been ordered since April, and they are hoped to be here by November, and door frames that were ordered in the last 2 months that they have a delivery date of December. So just kind of concerning whenever you look at all the things that are going on in the supply chain. So we're going to continue to work on that and see. Talk with the others around. Seems to be something that's going on in lots of places. So we'll continue to work on that. At this time, I'll ask Mr. Eddie Joslin to help us in a special recognition.
All right, good evening, board members. I have with me to my side here Miss Andrea Ferguson. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She has been a registered nurse for over 30 years, a school nurse in Beauregard for 21 of those years, and our health service coordinator for the last 20 years. She is my go-to person. It keeps me out of trouble. She obtained associate's degree registered nurse from LSUA in December of '91 and is a very recent graduate of Northwestern State University with her Bachelor of Science in Nursing with honors. She was inducted into the Sigma Theta Tau International Honor Society of Nursing Beta Chi chapter and received the 2022 Outstanding RN to BSN Student Award. Things are going your way right now, aren't they? Yep. Okay. She sits on the board of directors of 2 organizations. First, the National Association of School Nurses representing Louisiana, and her church, the Lutherans in Medical Missions. She is a member of the Louisiana School Nurse Advisory Council with the Department of Education here in Louisiana, and is on the Louisiana School Health Advisory Council with the LDOE and Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. Okay, I'll keep going. It doesn't stop. In May, the Louisiana State Department of Education recognized Ms. Ferguson as the premier recipient of the newly created Louisiana School Health Provider of the Year. This 3-member committee recognized her outstanding service and dedication to the school nursing profession and the students of Louisiana, particularly Beauregard Parish. On June 15th this summer, she was recognized at the June Bessie Board meeting in Baton Rouge. Mr. Cooley, myself, and Mr. Hooker had the privilege of attending with her and joining her in her celebration as she was recognized there at the meeting. So, Mr. Vidring and board members, I would like to present to you our school nurse extraordinaire, Miss Andrea Ferguson. And we have a plaque for her, Mr. Vidring. If you would come take a picture, please. Beautiful. And she is holding her state level award there.
You coming up here? Yeah. How you doing?
I'm the photographer. You leave it ready.
Who's a good-looking guy that come in with you? Said, who's a good-looking guy that come in there?
That is my son, John Ferguson. He works in a computer tech
Why don't you
department.
get a shot for him up here?
Yeah, she has a special friend who's been assisting her of late. Church friend. Come on. Come on.
Already, you didn't know you were
Come
gonna
on.
get so lucky. I did not. Well, let me.
That's what you get for coming.
Hey, I'm proud to.
Is he the driver?
I will ask Mr. Joslin to just stay at the microphone and he can go over hearing data for 21-22.
All right, board members, welcome back. You have in your packet our 2021-22 hearing data summation that takes place actually in this room. I won't spend a whole lot of time on it, as you can see, but I'll hit the highest points. Our highest month was February with 33 hearings that month. Of course, the schools are listed there in order of their number of hearings. The bigger the school, more likely the more the hearings we held. No surprise either, 8th, 9th graders, that is a tough time to be following a lot of rules. So our 8th and 9th graders led the summation of the grade-wise for our hearings. And the boys outnumbered the girls in hearings about 2.5 to 1. We had 17 students that came to me more than once. They were either returned to their home school on probation, something like that, for discipline matters, or they actually got in trouble at BAP also and came to me for another hearing. Fighting led our infractions, along with habitual infractions, what I call habitual offenders. They earned enough OSS and ISS days to come and see me based on 10 or so of those combined results. I would like to go down and look at vaping. We had 18 hearings for vaping this year. Those are actually down. I thought about pulling last year's data, but I was expecting vaping to be the number one this year. It was not. The cameras and the vaping sensors that we put in several of our schools seem to have helped that already, even though they were put in the spring, over Christmas and in the spring. So I'm looking forward to seeing how our vaping infractions are from the beginning of the school year, because either it's being successful as a deterrent, or the kiddos are really, really smart and they know where a new place to go, that they aren't getting, the sensors aren't seeing what they're doing. The results of our hearings, we had 84 assigned to BAP for some stint of time, 54 were returned to school on probation. We did have 3 no-shows, or students that did not come to our hearing and went to homeschool. Did have 1 expelled with homeschool paperwork. I will let you know that even though it was 1 true expulsion, that student did find some success. We were able to steer that student towards Mr. Abear in his home study program, and that student retained all the credits that they could. So that student's going to come back without having lost a year. So that worked out really well for all involved. We did have 1 hospital homebound recommendation and 1 student that was assigned to BVP for the rest of the school year. So that is basically the hearing data in a nutshell. Any questions?
I was looking at fighting, I said, whatever's going on bus 13, we need to
No.
fix.
That's not numbered bus 13, that is 13 bus fights.
Yeah, you put on bus 13,
That's right.
like, man, we got a problem.
I should have put on bus colon. But and the reason why that is a high number is because due to parish policy, if there's a fight on a bus, whether the bus is moving or sitting still, it is required, do not pass go. They come to a hearing from me with Mr. Ensminger. Any other questions about discipline?
I know you mentioned the vape, and I know we spent some money on that.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything that you see that could cut down on any of these other categories by the board's
The
action?
other categories?
Yeah.
One that really scares me is the prescription meds. I mean, honestly, that's a community thing we discuss every month with Ms. Satcher over at the coalition meetings. I mean, that's not a major one, but those are pretty scary. Very few alcohols and really very few weapons this year. Thank goodness. The vaping is what's got our kids right now. It absolutely is an epidemic, and I applaud you for doing what you can to help the schools and the administrators try to put a stop to it at the school level. I'll tell you that my lowest grade for having a vape this year was second grade. A second grader, 7-year-old.
So that's going down.
Oh, it's all the way
Because it
down
was-
to, they don't particularly know
was
what
third-
it is.
Fifth
but-
grade or third grade last time we discussed
Yeah,
Yes, I think.
yeah. So that was a fluke, that was an outlier, but still, a second grader brought a vape to school and was passing it around in the bathroom. Because they were emulating that. So it's mamas and daddies watching on TV. Your kids know.
Mr. Jocelyn, one of the things that's been kind of on my radar, just on my heart in general, is just with the last couple of years, our students have had an abnormal amount of time just being isolated from one another and just out of the ordinary swing of things and all of that. And so I know that it's not only in our parish, but just across the country, there's just some serious issues with discipline and specifically fighting and heaven forbid, suicide and that type of thing. So what do you see, what can the board do in your mind that we could help improve student interaction? What can we do to help students build some of these social skills that have been lost in the last couple of years? What can we do to encourage that? I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine. I'll tell you that mental health nationwide, but most certainly by our school system, that has rose to the forefront coming out of the COVID and the isolation, like you said. I'll probably not be person to answer that. Somebody that is in the counselor's side of it. I will say that our SEBs have been instrumental, and I'm not talking out of turn. I believe we re-upped those contracts because of the value that they and the impact they're having on our students. I just today, I don't think it's required, and I didn't even really ask Mr. Cooley for his blessing, but I put on our Safe Schools required list a mental health 22-minute training for teachers, and actually goes all the way from principal to custodians, everybody, staff-wise, that just a small little snippet to look at the signs, kind of recognize when a kid gets in trouble, keywords, those kind of things. The kid will tell you what's wrong without telling you what's wrong. Mm-hmm. So those kind of things, that really comes through the counselor's SEB. But it is a concern because a kid acting out, one of the ways they show it is defiance, and that does end up in the discipline office, usually as one of the first signs that they are struggling with something.
And it's not only just from COVID, but just from technology, social media, that type of thing that our kids just have access to at earlier and earlier ages. I don't know. It's something that, like I said, I think that the more proactive we can be in terms of getting students engaged with one another and opportunities that we're not just corralling them from one class to another with limited interaction. I understand minutes are important, but also look back on my own high school days, and I remember just how important those times of interacting with my teammates were, my fellow classmates were, and so if we're constantly worried about schedule and classroom time, but we're completely neglecting those other things, I feel like that we want to be in balance, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'm really happy that we're back to full schedule with athletics, traveling. Bands are getting to go to away games. Those kind of things after hours really are important. Any extracurricular, activities the parents can kind of push their kid to. Anything outside the classroom where they have to talk face to face, which is a skill that's being lost, along with punctuation. So those kind of things that's all beneficial and a bonus if we can get those kiddos to participate in those kind of activities.
Thanks. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's okay. That's all right, man. That's what the podium's for here.
Part of that, Garrett, and I think you touched on it, and Eddie probably expounded on it more, is that we got them back in school. That was a big first step, and was what was needed in a lot of their social skills and stuff. I really want to commend Mr. Cooley and this board in the central office, we were one of the first. And we got a lot of criticism.
Oh, we got a lot of, I'll say
All the way
criticism
along.
for it, yes.
But through Mr. Cooley's guidance, it was pretty much insistent, we'll do what it takes to try to get the children back in school. So, Cooley, I appreciate it, other board members, I appreciate the position, so.
Certainly appreciate your support. I felt it was key. It was key to get them back in there. All right, Mr. Johnson has one more part.
Go for the
I'm not
trifecta.
giving my superintendent's report tonight. But we have completed all of our school safety walkthroughs, and he's gonna kind of give a summary tonight. And still a work in progress. I will say at this time, you will hear early on, possibly before students even arrive in the school, you may hear something about us having a safety drill. I can only say that it will probably be an in-town school and an out-of-town school with only faculty there in the beginning. And then probably within 9 weeks of the school starting, we will have some type of drill with a school with students. But you will know about that before it takes place. But we're looking at several things. Sheriff's Department, Police Department, all of them want to check response times to our schools and those type things, as well as we're very curious how well our out works and where that out goes and how it's spread out. So we will be doing that early while we only have teachers there. It will sort of be unannounced until about 15 minutes before it happens. But we will notify those communities so that no one shows up to try to take control. So but I do appreciate the Chief of Police and the Sheriff, Eddie, myself, and the others, OEP, that are working on this so that we can try to see what our response time is. But with that, I'll turn it to Eddie and let him give us a little summary report of some of the things we saw as positives, strengths, and some that we are going to need to address.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Board members, first of all, thank you for taking your time. We visited 12 campuses. BAP is pretty locked down, so we didn't feel needed to do that. And then I'd like to thank the principals for making swap the time for us to do that. I'd like to talk to you about strengths. A few strengths that we see as a global part for the parish, the 12 schools we're talking about, a few areas of concern, and then some suggestions. Obviously, some of the strengths, the elementary schools, we've done a pretty good job of making those pretty fortified while still being welcoming. So most of our elementary schools have one-way in, front door entry. They are fenced in by schools and on the perimeter for the school, so that definitely limits entry accesses. Our classroom doors are being locked at a high percentage across the parish. Those doors being locked, as far as classroom goes, are higher in junior high and high school than they are in elementary. Little feet travel, bathroom and back. So that's something that we're going to have to work with our elementary teachers, because it is harder on them to keep the doors locked just because of all the traffic that goes in and out of the little ones, 4 or 5 year old, that kind of deal. Our buzz-in front doors work very well where they are installed, and I did a count. We have 8 of the 13 campuses have a buzz-in front door. I did not think it was that high until we started looking at the nuts and bolts of it. And most susceptible exterior doors remain locked. That means our faculty, our custodians, they know those doors that might face a road. They are exposed to outside traffic, whether inside or outside a fence, and they do a very good job campus-wise of keeping those doors locked and closed at all times. Cameras, where they are installed and functioning, and that's 2 different things there, okay? Cameras are an effective security tool. And I know we have spent some money on cameras. I'm fixing to ask you for some more. Areas of concern, and I have about 12 listed, but I'm just going to hit the top 5 or 6 that I believe. Multiple campuses are susceptible, their perimeter, different entry points. Of course, the older the student, the more travel they do on their own outside of the under roof campus building. So whether it goes to an ag building, band hall at the high schools, particularly, those areas are open to traffic, so foot traffic. We have too many cameras that are outdated or just not functioning at all. You cannot get a camera repair company to come and look at an analog camera now that we have in several of our schools. They're not going to do it. It's not worth their time. So we do have some of those at work, but they are not up to give us the biggest bang for our buck. We have several unsecured front entry points, which allows easy access to the hallways, main campus at a few schools. Just the way the school is designed, you walk in the front door. If you don't have the self-discipline to go to the front office, you can walk into the school and keep going. We have some schools that have delivery points inside the campus that create a unique situation where security is, I won't say compromised, but hopefully it's easily fixed, but that is something we need to look at. We have a couple of schools where deliveries come inside the campuses, and that is something we need to consider for a solution. We have easy visibility of students on campus, either inside the buildings from the road, or especially on our playgrounds. Prime example is South Bow Upper. Those students are 171. So we need probably look at that just to cut down some of the visibility on those areas of our campuses. Exterior doors are sometimes left unlocked or propped open by faculty members. I'm going to impress upon our principals when we have our meeting in a couple of weeks, that is their responsibility to make sure their teachers don't do that or their staff don't do that. We cannot have a door propped open for convenience, get left open, and then an avenue or an opportunity for something heinous to happen. Some campuses only have a 4-foot perimeter outside fencing, which I think we joked with Mr. Manuel. I'm not sure you could hop it now, but in 7th grade he could hop that fence. So we'll look at that. That'll be something y'all will need to consider. So for some suggestions that I just off the top of my head and talking to you at our meetings, I would love to create a one entry point for all our campuses. And for those campuses, like DeRidder High School, create a turnstile that funnels incoming parents or visitors through one open door, and it channels them into the office. So there has to be a huge effort to avoid the front office. We need to look at adding fencing in several gates at exposed entry points of some of our schools, especially on the sides of campuses that are away from the front office. There's nothing stopping folks from walking up, so we need to look at shoring up some of those areas. We can cover some exterior glass doors with reflective film. If you were at East Beauregard, Mr. Weldon did that, took it upon himself. That is very effective. It's basically a mirrored glass where there is no way to see inside your hallways. We need to update and replace cameras. And for the playground fences, I suggest that we cut down the visibility, add slats. You can order the plastic slats to go through the fence, and that'll definitely cut down on the visibility of our students. And that's kind of a broad brush for the synopsis of our safety tours for the campuses. Any questions, comments? Mr. Vidger, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Right, also, just for everyone's knowledge, I sent out some text messages to all the board members. Miss Patricia P.J. Crow will be the acting principal at Carver Elementary for this coming school year. Yesterday, Mr. Sammy Smith was named principal at DeRidder High School. And Mr. Roy Harris today was named principal at Singer High School. So we will be working with them. Mr. Hooker, who was here, moved over to the alternative school. As Mr. Green moved to the central office. So we have some changes. We'll get everything in place, try to get everybody rolling, and look forward to the start of the new school year. Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 5, to hear a report from the Beauregard Parish Truancy Assessment and Service Center. Mr. Dodge, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to be here. Mr. Chairman and board members, I appreciate it. As you know, the Truancy Assessment and Service Center is designed, now that the kids are back in school, to keep them in school. Elementary students are the focus of the program. Miss Laura Moses at my office runs a program with Miss Mary Sowells. Karen Ducote at my office has a FINS program, which is Family and Needs of Service, which also helps out with the program. Mr. Eddie Joslin is a huge resource here at the school board for us. Deputy Lance Grant with the Sheriff's Office helps us out with the program. So it's a group effort with the Sheriff's Office, the school board, my office, and the court system. As I've told you over the years, one of our goals, the main goal, of course, is, as you know, to keep the kids in school, because when they stay in school, they tend to graduate from school. When they graduate from school, they stay out of my office, and they stay out of the judicial system in general. So we have a safer community and a more productive community with workers instead of people who are incarcerated for breaking the law. So that's the ultimate goal. We have in your packages today the numbers from this year, as well as the program overall has performed over the life of it. This year, you'll notice that we have about was it 9%, Laura, that actually were referred to the court system this year. Usually that's around 2%. I think that probably has to do with the COVID problem, actually. All the kids and all the parents being home. You see in the communities, not just our community, but around the country, a lot of people are not going back to work. Well, you know, a lot of people aren't sending their kids back to school like they should either. So we've remained focused on the task. So we try to get them back in the schools, to the actual school buildings, which we prefer. I mean, online learning is okay if that's the option you have, but we try to get the kids to the school. If we cannot get them to buy into the program, we do refer them to the court system. So this year, instead of 2% being referred to that court system, about 9% have. Every year, when school starts, these kids start with basically a clean slate. And, you know, we see the same school kids over and over, the same families, the same kids, until they get to, you know, 6th, 7th grade, and they kind of age out, and Mr. Joslin can follow them with the school absentee records and refer them to our office in a different way. But we see the same ones, which is unfortunate. But this year, instead of doing that and just starting over, we've actually tracked them from where they left off last year through the summer, and we'll actually pick up where the school year starts this year, being involved immediately. Instead of waiting on the principals to refer these students when they have the absences, they're already in our office and on our radar, and we're making contact with those families immediately, instead of waiting about 3 or 4 weeks into the school year when they've missed those very important first days. The principals at these elementary schools in each of your districts are fantastic. They refer students as they should. It's important that we get these referrals timely, and they know that, and they do that. The faster that we can make contact with these families, the faster we can make a positive impact and difference for these kids. And a lot of the times the kids do want to go to school, and the parents just aren't getting them there. So we try to make accommodations and transportation, uniforms, all that good stuff. So 80% of the kids that we were involved with this year did experience a reduction in the unexcused absences. So when we became involved with a particular family or with a particular student, 80% of the time that was a successful venture. So 158 total students this year were contacted by our office, which, you know, if you kind of do that in your head real quick, about 15 or so of them were referred to the court system. So that's not a huge number, but percentage-wise, that's a lot greater than we're used to dealing with. We don't like to see that, but if we have to do that, we'll continue to do that, and we'll keep track of that and hopefully update you next year and let you know whether this has been successful. You know, constantly monitoring them through the year, and then sending them through the court system and having the judge formally tell a parent that, hey, if you don't get this kid to school, it's not that kid's fault anymore. It's your fault, and you'll have legal consequences. So that's not how we like to do things. We like to do it in a friendly kind of hands off kind of way. But if we do have to do this, then we'll see how successful that is and update you next year. So as you know, we are in the budget every year that you've approved. You approved it a couple of weeks ago. We very much appreciate that. That support and that partnership, that helps. The resources are very valuable to help these kids and help these families. So as always, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I appreciate all of you supporting the program as you always have. And obviously, if you have any questions today or any other day about the program itself or kids that may be affected, if you think you may be able to recommend or refer somebody that's somehow gone under the radar that we've missed, please feel free to contact us, or about anything else. So the highlights are there in graph form on one side and written form on the other. So please feel free to scan those at your leisure and let me know if you have any questions. So anything from anybody?
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank y'all. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Very much.
Yeah, we appreciate all the support. Thank you.
Okay. Item 6, to consider adopting a resolution concerning special counsel Hammond, Seals, Atkins, Guy, Noah, and Perkins.
All right, members of the board, we approved a resolution a few months ago concerning this, where the resolution was submitted to the Attorney General's office by this firm. They said there was too many different types of resolutions, so there had to be one standard resolution. So we have received a standard resolution that you have in your hands. There, we sent it out so that you would have it ahead of time. And it has all the same things in it. It's just a standard resolution that will be done by all parishes in the resolution. Bid Green? Hope we don't have to read the whole resolution.
I don't want to. I'm going to give them a minute to glance back through it in case someone does have a particular question. Sort of enlightening to know that the attorney sent it up and the judge didn't, or Attorney General didn't.
Yeah, right.
So,
Right. Exactly right.
anyone have any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, I'll entertain the motion to adopt the resolution between the Borgard Parish School Board regarding employment of special counsel.
So moved.
Been moved by Ms. Henry,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Weldon. Any discussion on it? Hearing none, Chair will call for a vote. All in favor of the resolution of the Borgard Parish School Board regarding employment of special counsel, and I guess I ought to read that counsel again. It's on this sheet. Counsel Hammond, Seals, Atkins, Guys, Noah, and Perkins. Indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, indicate so by saying no. Resolution is adopted. Item number 7, to consider revision of certain support job descriptions. Ms. Crane?
Good evening, board members and guests, and Mr. Cooley. We are beginning our efforts to update the support personnel job description manual. It's been many years since our job descriptions for our support personnel have been updated. Much of the verbiage is just outdated. And so we are meeting with each of our directors of each department, and we're going through the job descriptions and just updating verbiage and seeing how we can make our job descriptions fit the jobs that our employees are doing. We have about 58 support job descriptions. Our plan is to, because that is a lot to review for you all at one time, so our plan is to bring several of them to you each month until we go through all of our job descriptions and get those up to date. I presented to you in your packet. There were several job descriptions. We had our custodian 1, custodian 2, sweeper, teacher's aide for the hearing impaired. Well, teacher's aide, that's the new name. Teacher's aide for the deaf and hard of hearing. Teacher's aide for the visually impaired, and the special education MSRTS secretary 12-month job descriptions that we presented to you. I'm hoping you were able to review those. Do you have any questions that I can answer? We put the new, revised, suggested revisions on the top, and I gave you a copy of the old job description on the back. Are there any questions that I can answer at this time?
I'm looking at sweeper. I don't see the difference in the sweeper.
Okay. The difference is we removed number 8 on the old job description. It says cleans all chalkboards. I don't think any of our classrooms have chalkboards anymore. So that's an example of the verbiage being outdated. So we removed number 8, and as you will see on the new job description, that was really the only change that was made. Now you have 12 performance responsibilities instead of 13. Yes, sir.
Most of them are in red, and that one didn't have any.
Yes, sir. Well, it was removed, and I debated on how to show that. So in the future, I will put that in red on maybe the old one or something. I will signify if we've removed something. That way y'all can tell.
When you listen, did you say secretary on one?
It's the special education MSRTS secretary. And that name was totally changed because the verbiage of that, the MSRTS is no longer in effect. We have gone to the SERV system with our special ed department. So the suggestion was to totally change the name of that position because that that system is no longer used in our special ed department.
You addressed my question. A teaching aid for visually impaired. You didn't give me a cheat sheet. You didn't put it in red, but I see now there was
I will do
a
better
lot of
next time.
deletions, you know,
Yes,
from
sir.
that one to the vote.
Yes, sir. On that one, we just removed on the second page. Let's see. Yes, sir. We removed the competency levels on the second page. Those are no longer in effect.
Any questions of Ms. Frank? I'll entertain a motion to approve the revision of certain support job descriptions that were presented at tonight's meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Do we need the list of the positions, or is that adequate? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of revision of the job descriptions covered, indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, indicate so by saying no. Job description revisions that were presented are approved. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Item number 8, to hear recommendations from the Finance Committee. Item 8A is a motion to engage Langley and Williams for fiscal year ending 22 audit, plus audits of 12 schools for a term of 3 years at a cost of $48,000 per year. Do This is a recommendation that came forth from the Finance Committee. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for a vote. All in favor of the committee's recommendation to engage Langley and Williams for the fiscal year ending 22 audit, plus audits of 12 schools for a term of 3 years at a cost of $48,000 a year, indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed indicate so by saying no. Recommendation is approved. 8B, motion to approve revision of teacher salary schedule and support salary schedule to incorporate the legislative pay raise of $1,500 for each certified employee and $750 for each support employee. Again, this was a recommendation that came forth from the Finance Committee, so it's in the form of a motion. Any discussion?
I think it goes without saying, I think every board member and probably every person in this room would like to see a salary wages increase for our employees and support staff. There's some varying degrees as to what can be done. I don't know, Mr. President, if we could maybe have an informal committee to maybe further explore maybe some different options. I know like Mr. Green has brought up 4-day school in some places. It would be interesting to find out employee turnover in, say, Maryville and Singer, if that's less than it is at other schools. You know, maybe that I don't know, might not be, but it might be a factor to consider. I know I've asked about, you know, sales tax before. Maybe an informal committee can meet with the gentleman with the sheriff's department that collects the sales taxes, see if there's something that can be done in that situation. I don't know, I just see so many teachers that are leaving our parish, unfortunately, and, you know, it seems like that has just snowballed a little bit over the last few years, and I don't know if anyone's interested. I don't know if we need an official committee, but, you know, something to try to address this, not just a state level.
I'm certainly not opposed to meeting and discussing it. I don't know if I want to limit the committee. I would think all the board would want to be involved on it when we have that discussion and stuff. There's some information we would need, you know, before I would call that meeting and get it out to, as much of it out to you as possible beforehand, so that, you know, when we do sit down, we can have informative discussion and consideration. But I'll work with Mr. Cooley towards that, Mr. Bowman. Like you say, I don't know if there's a more underpaid profession than school employees. Who has a larger impact on our society than teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, janitors, and so forth? I've always felt they should probably make more than doctors and attorneys. No offense, Mr. Lestage.
None taken, I agree.
They're a bigger influence and have a bigger impact. And all of us sitting in this room, I could probably ask you, if you're sports fans, who won the World Series last year? Probably couldn't tell me, or very few of you could. If you're ladies, in a sense, used to, I don't know if to keep up with that anymore, you could say, well, what state was Miss America from? I wouldn't have a clue. But if I ask you who was your first grade teacher, I bet invariably most of you could answer that. So anyway, I appreciate it, Mr. Bowman. We will look at it. Want the meeting to be as productive as possible, so in order to do that, we'll try to get as much information together. There's always questions about where it comes from. Can it be used for this, that, and the other? And hopefully all of that can be built in there so that we're all informed, educated on it, and hopefully can make some progress on it.
And we definitely agree, Ray. Every single one of us want to raise for our teachers and support staff, everyone. No, they don't make enough. And obviously I know that. But, so yeah, the sooner the better on some sort of a meeting would be great for us to get to work on that.
just a little bit of feedback on that would be beneficial for me personally is just some sort of paper that kind of explains where we pull our like how we pay our people. I know that we have sales tax, we have state dollars, we have this, we have that. Just if one concise document that would just kind of say this is how we arrive at that in some general sense would be really helpful to me, just to kind of wrap my brain around it, because I know that we oftentimes are pulling from different pots and to make it all work. I get that, but just some sort of general summary would be very helpful to me.
That was sort of my goal in trying to get information together for it.
Great.
Oftentimes, when we're going through budgets or ledgers, we'll see some money that looks like it's just sitting there and saying, man, why can't we use that, or we'd like to use that. Some cases, maybe we can. Most cases, it's prohibited, you know, what you can use and stuff. But that would all be part of it. Okay.
Very good.
You're gonna have to help me here. Did we vote on it? Okay. That was a good rabbit to chase, so thank you. 8B. The recommendation is to approve revision of teacher salary schedule and support salary schedule to incorporate the legislative pay raise of $1,500 for each certified employee and $750 for each support employee. All in favor? Indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Indicate so by saying no. Recommendation is approved.
I just have a discussion on that. So when we get the state mandates a $1,500 and $750 pay raise. So how much does that cost the district that we have to make up? Because they don't cover benefits on that $1,500.
There are some benefits that can be covered by the money.
By the $1,500, but it doesn't come in addition to that.
Right.
So for them to receive $1,500, there's probably 20-something% that the district's having to pay at some point out of some pot, right?
There is some in that money that can be used for some of the benefits.
I think what he's saying is some of these raises I've seen come, it's $1,500 and that's it. If you're gonna pay $1,500, you gotta come up with roughly 28%.
Actually, I looked at that.
There's some of them that say $1,500 plus, we're gonna give you, help you account for something.
Right, this one is just a straight $1,500.
Well, we do have a little bit extra money in there that I feel like can cover some benefits.
Okay.
And there's some that we've implemented, Mr. Cooley, where we're using the figure 1,500. They didn't actually see 1,500 to take home.
Right.
Because benefits, retirement stuff was taken out of 1,500.
So, with that being said, also, when everybody's pay goes up, or whoever's the support and the certificate, depending on what they are, as their raises go up, as their salaries go up, the sales tax, goes down because your sales tax supplement goes down because
Has to be adjusted to be 10% out of 66.
and 10% out of 90. That's what a lot of times we see sales tax going up and people are like, well, I know sales tax are up, but a raise like this does take some from your sales tax the way it's structured. So I just wanted to, point that out, that it's not always cracked up to be some things.
That's where a lot of the discussion in the meetings will be beneficial. Okay, Mr. Manuel, may we proceed to 8C?
We just passed it.
Okay. 8C, motion to accept the South Beauregard Elementary Addition change order for $61,000 to apply epoxy floor sealant with a 20-year warranty, including a 20% deposit to ensure availability.
And I gave everyone a copy of that warranty. Actually, it's called a limited lifetime warranty. As long as you don't remove that floor off of it, we're good. If you remove the floor off of it, score any of your epoxy, then it could be a problem.
This is for the manufacturer, right, which is better than the contractor.
There you go.
Okay, we're ready.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All in favor of the motion to accept the recommendation for the South Beauregard Elementary addition for a change order amounting to $61,000 for floor sealant with a 20-year warranty, including a 20% deposit to ensure availability. All in favor indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed indicate so by saying no. I hate to ask, maybe I should wait till after. No, was the flooring still there?
Yes, sir.
That was the big dilemma of Monday. Item number 9. You hear recommendations from the insurance committee. The recommendation that came forth was a motion to accept Gallagher Insurance for insurance broker services for the year 2023. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for a vote. All in favor of the motion to accept Gallagher Insurance for insurance broker services for 2023 indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed indicate so by saying no.
As for a quick update, I know 2 years is approaching to the storm. There's probably some legal
Let me announce
action.
the result.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's been approved, we've come up with Gallagher Insurance. Okay.
I think there's some legal document that we need to fill out to make sure that we can continue our claim, or if we find some unfound damage in our repairs.
I think the GA.
That's called a tolling
true.
letter.
Okay.
It's called a tolling letter. We're still, yes, sir. Okay. If we have not received it in the proper time, then it will be executed through our legal counsel.
Thank you.
I'm gonna add into that too. Now that we're a broker, we can actually ask the insurance carrier to endorse the current policy to extend the time frame. We'll give you double.
Item number 10. To consider approval of contract for assistant superintendent. All of you get a copy of the proposed contract. Okay. I'll enter a motion to, accept the motion to approve approve the contract for assistant superintendent. What was the time frame, Mr. Kula?
July 2022 through 2024, June 30. July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2024.
For Mr. Larry Holly. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Moved by Mr. Bowman, seconded by Mr. Manuel. Any discussion?
Really quick, I'd like to add something. He just stepped out, but it's been a hard couple of years. I would say that Mr. Ramsey's done an excellent job in a lot of areas. I'm very thankful for his service to this district. Very thankful for his leadership in the areas that he was over, and wish him a happy retirement. But I am looking forward, very much so, working with Mr. Holly, and I know that he will continue to carry himself with excellence as he leads this district in his capacities. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Okay. All in favor of approval of Mr. Holly's contract indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Holly, again. First for bid selected. And then on putting your name on the dotted line. I appreciate all of you. Got through it pretty quick. Worked out like Henry VIII. Told each of his 6 wives, better pay attention because I don't plan on keeping you very long. I'll entertain a motion to